everyone, I'm Shannon and welcome to today's video. So today we are going back to kind of an original series that I did early on, which is kind of a top 5. So I am going to be revisiting one of my earlier videos, which was top 5 DVC resorts for toddlers. At the time I made that video, my son was maybe 3, I think, or 4, and now he is 6.5, almost 7. So there are some, and then there's also been a new resort. Riviera Resort was added since that. So I decided to go ahead and do an updated video. Plus I've also got some more experience with some of these resorts. So that is what we're talking about today. It is going to be the top 5 DVC resorts for families with young children. However, it's going to be top 5, but I do have 2 honorable mentions because that's just me. Okay, so before we get started, I'm going to preface this that I'm basing this on a studio room because I wanted to make sure that it was consistent, because there are some 1-bedrooms that would definitely, if I were comparing 1-bedrooms, certain resorts would definitely be on. But I wanted to compare studios because I feel like with DVC, you know, most families, they try to be frugal with their points and they like studios. So we typically, when we do one long trip a year, and will be between 6 days or 6 nights and 8 nights, and we've even done 9 nights. And we'll do a 1-bedroom for those trips typically. Then we'll do shorter trips, weekend trips, maybe 3 or 4 nights, and those will do a studio. So for those longer trips, it's more of a true vacation, and we'll do a 1-bedroom to kind of have that privacy, and then also, just the space. But for the shorter trips, we definitely do studios. So with that, I am prefacing this on basing all of these, rankings on studios, and then I kind of go from there. So number 5 is going to be Old Key West. And again, this is young kids. This is not for families that have teenagers. I don't have a teenager. I couldn't tell you. But number 5 is going to be Old Key West. And Old Key West, so first of all, Old Key West has some of the best 1-bedrooms, 2-bedrooms, and obviously, larger rooms on property. The 1-bedroom is larger than my first apartment, and it's just amazing. It has got so much space, and you have the bedroom and the master bath, just fantastic. However, the studios are a little different. The studios have 2 queen beds, and they're kind of shaped a little odd. However, they still do have quite a bit of space. They have quite a bit of space because they're on an angle. They have a nice patio or balcony, and then the bathrooms are a good size. So the the studios at Old Key West are really good size. And the only thing I don't like, especially with young kids, because young kids are going to be watching TV, and the TV is on top of the dresser. So it's kind of an odd thing. So almost to watch the TV, they have to be sitting on the bed. So that's kind of the odd thing, especially with young kids. But hopefully you're going to be in the parks and you're not going to be watching TV too much. However, there's a couple things, the reason why I like Old Key West with young kids. So first of all, you have the hospitality house. There you've got a community hall, great community hall. We spent so much time there on our last vacation. We were there in December last year, and we just spent so much time at the community hall. It's fantastic. The pools are fantastic. There's so many pools. There's several pools. The main pool has a fantastic slide and just so much fun. The pool, like if you compare it to, some other pools, it doesn't really look anything special. However, my son loved going up and down that slide. It was just a really great, convenient location, just fantastic. Also, Old Key West has a lot of playgrounds. And if you have young kids, you know that sometimes maybe you're not going to the park, you're going to go late to the park, and you need to get that energy out. And playgrounds are crucial. Like, playgrounds are so important. So we've stayed at Old Key West a couple times now, and even now, like our last visit, our son had just turned 6, and he still loved the playground. I mean, he just loved it. There's a lot of sand. There's also kind of that big sandbox. He just absolutely loved it. So the community hall, the pool, and then all the playgrounds, really a great great resort for those that have young kids. Now the rooms, I think the studio rooms are probably not the best designed, especially if you have like a toddler, because you probably need to get bed rails. But my son will sleep in a regular bed, so that would not be a deal breaker for us. The resort itself keeps it into the top 5 for me. So number 4 on my list is going to be the Disney's Polynesian Villas. Again, right now they are going to be adding addition, so there's going to be some more 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms. However, right now you either have a bungalow, which is out of my price range, or you get they're all studio villas, which is great. And the studio villas in the Polynesian are probably the best DVC studio villas on property. I'm pretty sure they're the largest, and they are fantastic. You have 2 bathrooms because you have a split bathroom. So basically you have 2 sinks, a shower bath combo, and then a shower, only 1 toilet. So that's the downside, but you have 2 bathrooms. So getting ready was really, really easy in the morning because we had that split bathroom. This was the only resort we have done a long trip in a studio. We did 9 nights at the Polynesian, which I don't know how we got 9 nights. I stalked and waitlisted, and we were able to piece 9 nights together, but it was fantastic. And my son was younger. They also have the pull down Murphy bed, which most of the resorts are starting to get, but it has the pull down Murphy bed, and which just made it very convenient. I would say with the Polynesian, you just have to be very, very organized. There's not a lot of storage space. I got a lot of cheap hangers at the dollar store and brought them with me, and I hung up everything. I hung up everything that I could hang up. I hung up, and then that way the few drawers was stuff that needed to be in drawers. So really, just for a long trip like that, we just have to, and I have to be organized because I'm not naturally organized. So the rooms are incredible, especially if you're looking for a studio with young children. You have the Murphy bed, a lot of space. You could probably even fit the pack and play in that second bathroom if you wanted to kind of give you a little bit of privacy or make it a little bit quieter. You could probably fit the pack and play in that second bathroom if you wanted to. The resort itself is fantastic. Now there is no community hall. There used to be a kids club. There's no community hall anymore. But the splash pad in the pool is fantastic. The slide is not as it's great for younger kids. Now my son loves the big slide, so and he has since he was little, but he still liked that slide, the one in the main pool. However, the splash pad he loved. I mean, he absolutely loved it. It was freezing when we went, and he absolutely loved it. So it's a really great time to play. They have a lot of activities. Now, all the DVC resorts have a lot of activities, but because of the way that the Polynesian is set up, it was very easy to find the activities. Sometimes like Old Key West, the activities, but they're all the way at the front, right? And if you are at Turtle Road or whatever it's called, it's a hike. But with Polynesian, everything's kind of central, so it's really, really, really convenient. You also have that quiet pool, the Oasis pool, by the DVC buildings. So again, just overall really great resort. Now there is no playground. I mentioned that there's no playground. However, you kind of have the beach. So if you wanted to, you could bring some beach toys, and again, you could they're going to be filled with sand, but that's another option too. So I did that. My son, it was cold. We needed to, it was too cold to go to the pool. I wanted to kind of get some energy out. He was only, I think 2 or 2.5 at the time, maybe 3. But, and we went and we just went down to the beach and we played in the sand. And it gave him something to do. It was nice. It was a beautiful day out. It was just a little too cold for the pool. Well, I'm from Florida, but, and it was really nice. So that's another option too. Well, there's no playground, but there's also a lot of space to run. It's a lot of space to run. And then obviously with the Polynesian, it's so central. So you're right next to the TTC. You have the monorail. So you have the monorail to Magic Kingdom, but then you're also next to the TTC. So you can take the monorail straight to Magic Kingdom. You can take the ferry straight to Magic Kingdom from the TTC, or you can take the boat to Magic Kingdom that goes from, I believe it goes to Grand Floridian and then Magic Kingdom. I'm not sure which. I think it goes from Polynesian to Magic Kingdom, but then coming coming back, it goes to Grand Floridian. I'm not 100% sure of that. It's been a while, but really convenient. Honestly, I would say going to Magic Kingdom, I would say walk over to the TTC and take the monorail from there, especially from the DVC buildings. It just seems to be more convenient, and you're not going to have to stop at Grand Floridian, or take the ferry. The ferry is always fun. Coming back, especially if it's a late night, if it's a party, my recommendation is to take the ferry back. Take the ferry back because we left the party at right when it closed, the Christmas party, and we got in line for the monorail, and they had shut down the express monorail, so they only had the resort monorail. So everybody, even people that were parked at the TTC, were taking the resort monorail. So I was stuck when I realized what had happened. We were in line for over an hour before we were able to get on the monorail. Never would have done that again. I would have taken the ferry and taken it back. It would have been much more convenient and much faster. So that's the only thing is, for the end of the night, check and make sure that both monorails are running, because if it's only the resort monorail, everybody is going to be on that resort monorail. So you don't want that. You just take the ferry. So keep that in mind, but really convenient resort. My only downside, again, is no playground, no community hall, but the location and the room size, keep it on the top 5. Okay, so number 3 on my list for DVC resorts that are great for families with young children, and that is the Disney's Riviera Resort. So this is the newest resort to the DVC. There is an add-on to Grand Floridian, but this is the new full resort. And we stayed here the day it reopened after the shutdown. And we stayed there for 2 nights. Parks weren't open, so it was a staycation. And I liked the resort when I saw it. I thought it was really pretty. I saw the reviews initially were not that great, but when we stayed there, I ended up loving it. It was, first of all, the studio rooms are beautiful. They're just so beautiful. They're good size. They're brand new. You have the pull down Murphy bed. You have the other Murphy bed. Just really, really gorgeous. Like, it felt very upscale. And the splash pad was fantastic. My son loved the splash pad. He was on there for hours on end. And then the pool, it doesn't seem like a lot. It's a very simple pool, but the slide was really good. They had a lot of games. We spent all day there. I mean, we were there for 2 full days. It was just so much fun, and it was really great. Obviously you have Topolino's there. You have, the Piento, I forgot what it's called, but the little quick service was really good. A lot of options for me. There was pretty good options. There was limited menu at that time, but it has increased since then for being gluten-free. You have the Bar Riva. My only complaint is that the Bar Riva, I think that's what it's called. The bar is outside the pool area, so you have to leave the pool area. So if you are a single parent, you're by yourself, that's a little inconvenient, especially with a young child. So that's I like the resorts that have the bar next to the pool personally, but other than that, I thought it was great. Now they do have a Eventi, I think it's called Eventi, I don't know, it's Eventi something, but it is the community hall for the Riviera. Now, it wasn't, when it opened, that wasn't the space. The event was supposed to be like an event space. However, things happened. When they reopened, it became a community hall. And when we were there, it was kind of like a temporary community hall. When we went back recently in July, we swung by there, and we actually spent a good amount of time there. And it is a full-blown community hall now. So fantastic. They had the ceramics and different types of things that you could pay, but then they also gave us, my son was coloring and doing a bunch of things, and then, which was really nice, she said, oh, you guys are going on the road. We were just about to head on the road. She packed up this little kit for us with crayons and some sheets so my son could color if he wanted to in the car. So I thought that was really nice. She packed that up and gave it to us on the way home. So that was a really nice, but really great resort. Now this one is on the Skyliner. So while you're not walking distance to any park, you do have the Skyliner right there, and the Skyliner will take you to International Gateway, or it will go take you to Disney's Hollywood Studios. Now, Disney's Hollywood Studios, you do have to connect at Caribbean Beach. My recommendation is to walk straight to Caribbean Beach, because especially if it's early in the morning, what will happen is when you're at the the Skyliner for Riviera, they only leave like 1 out of every 5 gondolas empty for Riviera. So if it's a busy time of the morning or a busy time at night, you are going to you're gonna have to probably wait longer than you would if you just walk to Caribbean Beach. So that's my only advice, is that if there's a long line, just walk to Caribbean Beach. Now, if there's no line, it's probably just faster to go ahead and then switch at Caribbean Beach. But if it's a time of the morning and you see a long line, just walk straight to Caribbean Beach, because you'll probably beat the crowd. And then the only downside there is the Skyliner does go down for weather. I love the Skyliner. I'm terrified of heights. I love the Skyliner. So that is not an issue. But if it is any sign of lightning, it shuts down. So don't try and beat it. Don't try and beat it, because we were saying it at, I think it was Beach Club one time, and we tried to beat it and we lost, and we got stuck at Riviera. And it took us about an hour and a half to get back. And we also ended up having to take an Uber back to the Beach Club, which was bad. So just don't try and ever beat. If you see, like, oh, there's a storm coming, let's try and get there, I would say not. Now, if you're staying at Riviera, it's probably not that bad, because if you're coming from, let's say, Hollywood Studios, even if you got evacuated off of Caribbean Beach, you could walk. And the same thing from the Epcot, you could walk to, you would get evacuated at Riviera. So at Riviera is probably not too bad. But, just keep that in mind as far as the lightning. It might go down and then you'd have to take a bus. But, everybody has those types of issues. But I love the Skyliner. I think the Skyliner to me is the best form of Disney transportation. A lot of people don't agree with me, but I absolutely love it. It's just so convenient. So Riviera is definitely in my top 3. And now, again, there's no playground. However, there's playgrounds at Caribbean Beach. So you could always, if you really wanted to get some exercise and get some energy out for your child, you could go over to one of the Caribbean Beaches playgrounds and play there. So that's another option as well. So it's kind of got everything. I think the resort is absolutely stunning, convenient, it's beautiful. My only dig in it is that it's just the point charts are so high, which is why we just don't stay there as often. Okay, so number 2 on my list is going to be Disney's Animal Kingdom Villas. Now, this is either Jambo or Kidani, either or. I think both are fantastic. Some people, I'm a Jambo girl. I love Jambo House, and don't prove me wrong. But a lot of people love Kidani. I think but it is essentially the same resort, because you have the features at both. We've stayed in a studio there. It's fantastic. The pool at Jambo House and Kidani are great. Kidani has that amazing splash pad, just amazing. Kidani also has a small little slide. And then the slide at Jambo House is one where my son was little, and he was, I want to say 3, but I could be in the pool and watch him, because it wasn't that big of a slide that he could go down it by his own. We could watch him climb it. It wasn't like the one in Old Key West where you had to go up the lighthouse and you didn't see him for a while. So for little ones, that slide was very convenient, and for parents it was really nice because you didn't have to go with them every single time they wanted to go on the slide. Another thing at Jambo House is there's playgrounds. Both of them have playgrounds, which is fantastic. There's also a community hall, which is fantastic. So I believe that community hall is over at Kidani. Quick service, great. Downside with Animal Kingdom Villas is the location. It's just going to be farther away from all the parks except for Animal Kingdom. But the same could be said for any of the Magic Kingdom resorts, because they're only close to Magic Kingdom and then they're further away from everything else. So it kind of goes both ways, but it is far, especially if you're going to Magic Kingdom. It's a trek. But there's so many things. Obviously, you've got the animals. There's so many activities. The Primal Parade, which is something we did with our son a couple times. They have so many of the culture. And now that my son's older, we've stayed at Animal Kingdom Villas a couple times when he was younger. I'm really anxious to stay there now when he's older, when he can comprehend and he can really participate. Before it was little, he was playing, but he really didn't, I don't think, understood what he was learning. But now, you know, he get to see the animals and learn from the different cast members that are from Africa. I think it's just amazing. So Disney's Animal Kingdom Villas are definitely my number 2. Okay, so my number 1 DVC resort for families with young children is going to be Boardwalk Villas. Boardwalk Villas, to me, has it all. I know a lot of people prefer Beach Club over Boardwalk, but Boardwalk has won our hearts, and for several reasons. One, the location. So it is not as close as Beach Club is to the International Gateway. However, it is equal distance to Epcot and to Hollywood Studios, and easy to get to both. It is just so convenient. You can walk to both, just really super convenient. And you also have the boat launch, where if you wanted to, you could take the boat to either of those parks. So really great. So you're in walking distance to 2 parks. Next, you have there's a playground. There's a slide. So the pool is fantastic. You also have the quiet pool, but there is a small playground. There's a really great slide. I actually really like this slide. I think this is one of the better slides. The creepy clown is gone. It never bothered me, but the creepy clown is gone. And it's just a fun resort. I think it's just themed well. I do recommend, if you have young kids, personally, I recommend being on a ground floor. The long hallways can be very, very long, and with a stroller, there's like only one elevator. Watch my video on best and worst rooms, but we prefer being, especially in a studio, we always ask for a ground floor so that we don't have to worry about elevators or stairs, especially with a stroller. We're kind of out of the stroller stage right now. We still bring it sometimes, but my son is now old enough where he can walk. But you know, when he was younger, it was just, we were one time on the 3rd floor overlooking Village Green, which was beautiful, great view. However, it wasn't as convenient. So we've definitely preferred ground floor, especially at Boardwalk Villas. But again, you got a playground, you got great pool, great slide. And then you also have the community hall. And this was a big community hall. This is my son's favorite community hall. They're all really good, but this one, he just always seems to spend a lot of time there. It's really convenient, especially if you're in a standard room, toward, you know, closer to the Hollywood Studios side. It's very convenient. It's it's right next to the quiet pool. Just really, really great, great. The rooms are, you know, great location, a lot of amenities. Now they've just added the Boardwalk. The Boardwalk Bakery is now the Boardwalk Deli. So there is some option for some true breakfast. So some true meals. I think that was something that was missing at the Boardwalk, especially if you were in a studio. But, you know, you have all the restaurants. You've got so many amenities. You're so close to, again, 2 parks. The rooms are fantastic. There's the pull-down Murphy bed. You have the small twin Murphy bed for the little ones. Really, really great for even my son when he was like 2 was using that bed. It was great. So it's a really convenient resort. I love the theming. To me, it is the best resort for families with young kids. I think it has it all. The walking distance to 2 parks, it's complete. Okay, so I did mention that there was going to be 2 honorable mentions, and there's a reason for that, because these 2 resorts I hear people recommend all the time, like, oh, these are the best resorts for families with young kids. And I think they're good, but they do have their drawbacks. So I wanted to mention them. So the first is going to be the Beach Club Villas. Beach Club Villas is a fantastic resort. It has obviously Stormalong Bay, the best pool on Disney property, without question. The issue is that if you have toddlers and young kids, it's probably not the best pool. One, part of it is very, very deep. So unless they're a strong swimmer, obviously if they can wear a life jacket, but it is a very, it's a very, very deep pool, especially the lazy river. Then you also have the toddler area is across the walkway. So if you have 2 kids or 3 kids, one wants to play in the toddler area and one wants, they be in the, so they're going to have to separate. So that's kind of a drawback as well. And then the slide is across the walkway as well. So they have to walk across the walkway to go up. And I don't know, I am not a helicopter parent. However, I would not feel comfortable my son walking across that walkway at 6.5 by himself to go up the slide. So he can go up the slide and he'll go up the slides all the time without me or without my husband, but that crossing the walkway, we would go with him. So that's one thing that I would say is, I think is a downside, especially with young kids, because, they want to go on the slide, you're going to be going too, because, you're going to be walking across. So that's some of the downsides as far as Stormalong Bay. Now you do have the pool right next to the beach club Villas building. So there's a quiet pool. So they just want to swim, really great option. And there is a community hall. It's a small community hall. It was something else. So it's kind of like that makeshift one, but there is something there. So that's something that has been added since the shutdown. So that's something that I think is very good. It is obviously really close to Epcot, very, very close. And then you can take the Skyliner over to Hollywood Studios. Even though it's not technically a Skyliner resort, you're right next to the International Gateway and you can take it to Hollywood Studios. However, I will tell you, it's faster to walk. So if you have no lines whatsoever, we timed it, I think it took 18 minutes. It took 18 minutes because you do have to switch. And that's from walking, that's from when you get on the Skyliner. That's not including walking over to the Skyliner. So that was with no line, 18 minutes, because you do have to switch at the hub at Caribbean Beach and go there. So 18 minutes, again, no line. If you walk, it's going to be probably less. It's just going to be faster because you're just going to go straight there. Depends on how you walk. Now, it could be just really hot. You just be tired and you want to take the Skyliner. That's fine too. Again, I mentioned it. Don't try and beat the Skyliner, because it was during that time that when we were staying at Beach Club, we tried to beat the Skyliner and we ended up at Riviera. So, if it looks like it's going to storm, it looks like it's going to any sort of lightning, walk, because you'll actually get there and you won't have to, pay for an Uber somewhere else. But, so it has everything. You also have the boat launches. So you have the boat launches as well. Very convenient in that regard. No playgrounds. So that's a downside for young kids, but there's a big group, space, and it also has the beach area too. So there's a lot of stuff there. So the reason why it's just not in my top 5 is, the lack of playgrounds, and then the pool is, I think, just not as good for families with young children. I think the pool, even now with my son being 6.5, the slide kind of, freaks me out a little bit, just because we'd have to go with him. And for me, as a parent who probably just wants to chill, that's going to be a downside. Now they do have, I will say, good thing about the Beach Club Villas and Stormalong Bay is there's a bar and food right there. I think it's, I forgot what it's called, but Hurricane Hannah's. So that's something it has over the Riviera, is that the bar is right next to the pool and you can also get food. So a lot of stuff there, really great resort, a lot of options. But for me, it's still kind of on my honorable mention, just because the pool is not the best for young kids. And then the other honorable mention is going to be Bay Lake Tower. And Bay Lake Tower, it does have a lot. So it does have a decent pool, small, no real theming, but honestly, young kids really don't care about the theming, let's be honest. Really great community hall, great community hall there. The downs, and then obviously walking distance to Magic Kingdom. It is fantastic. So when we go to a party, we actually try and get a room at Bay Lake Tower if we're just going to do like a quick trip. But it's because it's just the convenience, especially if you're coming back at 12:30, 1 o'clock at night. Being at Bay Lake Tower is so convenient. Now you do have the walking distance now to Grand Floridian, which I have done. It's a much longer walk, but you can walk back. The downside with Bay Lake Tower, and the reason why it's not in the top 5, is mainly because to me it's the worst studios on DVC on Disney property. And it's not horrible, but the studios in DVC rooms and DVC villas are fantastic. So it's the worst of, the best rooms, but it's still the worst. They are the smallest, and then they're just shaped oddly. There's this like pantry, galley kitchen that takes up a lot of space. It's very our kitchenette takes up a lot of space, which means it prevents the room from the living room space. So you have the living room space is just really small. And if you have a little one that just needs to kind of run around, you just don't have that. And we were only there one night and we felt so cramped. We switched over, we did a split stay, we switched over to Beach Club, and Beach Club, we felt like we were in a grand villa because, and we were just in a studio, but it felt so much bigger compared to the one at Bay Lake Tower. And it's mainly because, yes, it is smaller square footage wise, but the way of the layout, the living space is a lot smaller because of that galley kitchen. So if you're a couple, I think it's a great resort, but with young kids, and especially if you have more than one, we have one. If you have more than one, to me, the walking distance to Magic Kingdom it's not worth it unless it's only like a one or two night trip. To me, just being that cramped, to me, it's just not worth it. So that's the reason why it's honorable mention. I think it has all the other attributes. I don't think there's a playground. I'm pretty sure there's not a playground. So I could be wrong there, but there's a lot of open space. And there is the community hall there is fantastic. So there is a lot of features, but for Bay Lake Tower, it's just because the rooms are just so cramped. Okay, so there you have it. Those are my top 5 DVC resorts for families with young children, plus 2 honorable mentions. And again, these are my opinions. These are my opinions, my views, and my experiences. You may feel totally different. You may be like, we have 2 kids and we stay at, Bay Lake Tower Studio. We could stay there for 2 weeks. That's fantastic. So everybody's opinion is their own, and everybody's experience is their own. So don't shoot the messenger. Don't, hate me if your favorite resort is not in my top 5. Again, just my opinion. And I just make these videos to hopefully help others who aren't sure where to stay. And maybe they're just bought into DVC and they don't know where they want to stay with their 3-year-old child for the first time. So that's the reason why I make these videos and no other reasons else. So with that, if you like this video, click like, click and subscribe. That way you get a notification every time I post a new video. Bye everyone.